Ferrari is reportedly planning a massive 30 horsepower boost to its engine at the upcoming Italian Grand Prix, a move that could shake up the championship race and directly counter Mercedes' own planned upgrade strategy. The question on everyone's mind: will this turbocharger redesign actually deliver as promised? The original reporting by Italian insider Giuliano Duchessa suggests the new design can bridge Ferrari's power gap, but how much of an impact will it truly have on the track? Ferrari has held 2 ADUO tokens throughout the season, allowing them to make these significant mid-season upgrades. This gives them a strategic advantage over teams like Mercedes, which holds only 1 token. With this boost targeting Monza's long straights, Ferrari aims to leverage its smaller turbo trade-off and close the gap to Red Bull and Mercedes. How will the rest of the field respond? Already, Mercedes has shifted its own plans for 2027 to counter Ferrari's move at Monza, a reactive stance that underscores the gravity of Ferrari's upcoming upgrade. Mercedes' decision to introduce its own upgraded power unit at Monza signals a direct countermeasure against Ferrari's ADUO2. This move comes with a significant penalty. Antonelli and Russell will face a 20-place grid drop for bringing forward their engine allocation. Fred Vasseur, Ferrari's team principal, remains cautiously optimistic about the impact of ADUO2. Completely catch Mercedes? I would say no. It will help, that is certain, he said in an interview on August 6th. However, Vasseur explicitly quantified the remaining engine deficit at 1 or 2 tenths per lap even after ADUO2. Ferrari's straight-line power deficit has been a significant limiter for the SF26 throughout the season, despite its strong cornering performance. The new turbocharger redesign is crucial in addressing this issue, with blade angles and material changes aimed at improving high RPM filling and top-end power. This turbo trade-off was intentional. Ferrari opted for a smaller turbo to reduce launch lag, but lost much of that advantage when the FIA introduced a 5-second pre-start procedure. This regulatory change meant Ferrari's smaller turbo strategy no longer provided the expected benefit, leaving them vulnerable on straights. So where does this leave us? The SF26 has shown impressive cornering ability, but it's straight-line speed that's holding back its overall performance. With ADUO2 targeting Monza's long straights, Ferrari hopes to address this deficit and make a significant impact in the second half of the season. It's clear that Ferrari sees ADUO2 as a necessary step toward closing the gap to Red Bull and Mercedes, but the reliability of this redesigned turbo under race conditions remains uncertain. Success hinges on whether the upgrade delivers its targeted gains without compromising overall engine reliability, which has been a key strength for Ferrari throughout the campaign. Ferrari's Zandvoort aerodynamic package, set to debut in the coming weeks, is another strategic move designed to boost performance ahead of Monza. However, this aero upgrade and the engine update are separate initiatives with distinct targets and timing. The aero work aims to improve overall lap times, while ADUO2 focuses on addressing Ferrari's power deficit. Despite the hype surrounding ADUO2, Vasseur remains grounded in reality. When you look at Mercedes and Red Bull, he stated, we are talking about a difference of 1 or 2 tenths per lap from the engine. This conservative assessment highlights that while the upgrade is expected to be helpful, it won't fully close Ferrari's gap. The reliability issue looms large. Will this redesigned turbo deliver its promised gains without compromising overall durability? If successful, ADUO2 could reshape the championship race. But if it falls short or introduces new reliability concerns, Ferrari may face further challenges in closing their deficit to Red Bull and Mercedes. As the season progresses, teams are increasingly focused on leveraging every possible advantage through mid-season upgrades like ADUO. With Monza just around the corner, all eyes will be on Ferrari's ADUO2 as it hits the track for the first time. Can this turbo redesign live up to its promise and make a significant difference in Ferrari's championship bid? Only the race weekend at Monza will tell. Will other teams follow suit with their own upgrades in response to Ferrari and Mercedes' moves? The strategy chessboard is set, and every team must weigh the risks of new engine allocations against the potential benefits of closing performance gaps. As the season enters its decisive phase, ADUO2 stands as a pivotal moment for Ferrari. In short, while ADUO2 represents a critical step forward for Ferrari, it remains to be seen whether this boost will truly deliver on its promise and shake up the championship race at Monza. In a surprising twist, Mercedes has decided to respond directly to Ferrari's upcoming ADUO2 upgrade at Monza with their own mid-season power unit refresh. The German team is reversing its strategy of holding back on engine development for next year and will introduce an upgraded M17E performance system ahead of schedule. This move comes with a significant price, as both Lewis Antonelli and George Russell will face a hefty 20-place grid penalty at Monza due to their already used-up season allocations. This strategic shift signals the extent to which Mercedes sees Ferrari's upcoming engine upgrade as a serious threat to its championship ambitions. As Fred Vasseur, Ferrari's team principal, put it, "Completely catch Mercedes, it will help, that is certain." The contrast between inside reports and official statements from Ferrari adds another layer of intrigue. While sources like Giuliano Duchessa at Autoracer are suggesting a substantial power boost up to 30 horsepower, the team's own public stance remains more cautious. Vasseur himself said, "When you look at Mercedes and Red Bull, we are talking about a difference of 1 or 2 tenths per lap from the engine." This suggests that even with ADUO2, Ferrari will still be playing catch-up. So how does this all tie back to what we knew at the start? Remember how this all started, with Ferrari's own strategic misstep in designing its turbocharger for reduced lag but weaker top-end power. The FIA's new 5-second pre-start procedure has made that trade-off less valuable, leaving Ferrari vulnerable on long straights. What's more interesting is the timing of these developments. As Formula One heads into the crucial European summer break, teams are making major decisions about their strategies for the second half of the season. For Ferrari, ADUO2 at Monza represents a pivotal moment in trying to close the performance gap with Mercedes and Red Bull. But there's another angle too. Ferrari isn't just focusing on engine upgrades, they're also planning an aerodynamic package for Zandvoort. The Dutch track presents unique challenges that Ferrari needs to address, including downforce issues identified at the Hungarian Grand Prix. This dual-front approach highlights how the team is working across multiple systems to improve its overall performance. So where does that leave us right now? With a high-stakes battle shaping up between Ferrari and Mercedes as they both push to gain an edge in the final stretch of the 2026 season. But despite all the reported gains from ADUO2, Ferrari is still playing it cautiously, emphasizing realistic expectations rather than exaggerated claims. This tension between insider reports and official team statements paints a picture of a Ferrari on the cusp of significant improvements, but also aware of its limitations. As we head into Monza, one thing is clear: every detail about ADUO2 will be closely scrutinized by fans and rivals alike, setting up what could very well be a defining moment for both teams in this year's championship race. The question remains, how much can Ferrari's ADUO2 actually deliver? And more importantly, will it be enough to shift the balance in their favor as we head into the last few races of the season? So, back to our earlier point, Ferrari's strategic move with ADUO2 and Mercedes' aggressive response highlight just how tightly packed this championship has become. Both teams are leaving no stone unturned as they fight for every advantage possible in these critical final months. Will Ferrari's bold engine upgrade pay off? Or will the grid penalties faced by Lewis Antonelli and George Russell at Monza prove too costly for Mercedes to overcome? The answers lie ahead as both teams push forward into this crucial stretch of the season. Ferrari's strategy for the Italian Grand Prix is all about catching up to rivals Red Bull and Mercedes on power-sensitive tracks. But here's the twist. While teams like Mercedes have traditionally saved their upgrade tokens for later in the season, they're now forced to play catch-up with Ferrari. Mercedes has taken an unexpected turn by rolling out its own ADUO ahead of schedule. Antonelli and Russell will suffer grid penalties at Monza due to this fresh engine strategy. The decision is a clear acknowledgement that Ferrari's impending boost could shake up the standings. So, how did we get here? The turbocharger redesign for ADUO2 is no small feat. Imagine crafting blades with new angles and counts, essentially reinventing high-speed airflow dynamics to squeeze out every last bit of power without compromising reliability. So, what does this mean for Ferrari's driver lineup? Charles Leclerc, who warned about the team's lack of straight-line speed in Hungary, might finally see his car perform as expected. But is that enough to challenge the frontrunners? Vasseur knows full well ADUO2 won't completely level the playing field. I would say no, he said last week. It will help, that is certain. The question remains, how much of a difference will it make in the grand scheme of things? He knows it. So does everyone else. Nobody said a word. Vasseur's own public statements paint a more modest picture compared to the E30 bhp figure reported by insiders like Giuliano Duchessa at Autoracer. Ferrari's progress is framed as good, but could do better, according to Vasseur himself. This insider reporting isn't just idle speculation, it carries weight in the paddock. Teams are taking note of ADUO2's potential impact, even if they're not ready to confirm its exact parameters. After all, what happens at Monza will set a precedent for how teams approach mid-season upgrades going forward. But with the FIA's new 5-second pre-start procedure, that advantage was largely neutralized. Now Ferrari faces a stark choice: risk reliability or accept a power deficit. Vasseur admitted as much in interviews leading up to Monza. When you look at Mercedes and Red Bull, he noted, we are talking about a difference of 1 or 2 tenths per lap from the engine. That's a significant gap on circuits like Monza, where top-end speed is crucial. It's clear Ferrari's ADUO2 aims to close that gap. But will it be enough? The real test will come at Monza, where every tenth counts towards championship points. Mercedes' strategic pivot underscores the urgency. By bringing forward their own engine upgrade and accepting grid penalties, they're essentially saying, we can't afford to wait. So here we are, Ferrari on one side with a targeted boost to its power unit, Mercedes on the other, adapting their strategy mid-season. The battle is far from over. It's like at school, good, but could do better. This step forward for Ferrari compared to last year's struggle signals progress, but how much more can they squeeze out of this upgrade? Vasseur acknowledges that while ADUO2 will help, it won't completely close the gap to Mercedes and Red Bull. So, what does that mean for the championship's final stretch? Will Monza be a turning point for Ferrari, or just another step forward in their ongoing quest for dominance? The race is on, and every fraction of a second matters now more than ever. So what's the real impact of Ferrari's 30 bhp ADUO2 at Monza? Let's look closer. According to Fred Vasseur, even with this major boost, Ferrari won't be fully catching up to Mercedes or Red Bull yet. The team principle is clear: completely catch Mercedes? This season-defining moment isn't just about raw numbers, it's also about how rivals respond. Now Ferrari needs to make up ground, and their ADUO2 aims to do exactly that by addressing straight-line power. But it's not just about Ferrari anymore. Mercedes has flipped its strategy in response. They're bringing forward an engine upgrade too, specifically targeting Monza. Antonelli and Russell will face grid penalties for doing so, but are banking on a stronger engine down the stretch. So why is this move by Mercedes significant? They're essentially reversing their plans to use that ADUO token next year, showing how seriously they take Ferrari's upgrades as a threat now, not later. This strategic shift from Mercedes reveals just how competitive the field has become. It's no longer about who can save resources for future races, it's about outsmarting each other right here and now. The real battle won't just be on track, it'll be in the engineering rooms, with teams trying to outthink one another before every race weekend begins. And that's what makes this season so thrilling. But back to Ferrari, their ADUO2 is still unconfirmed officially. While insiders like Giuliano Duchessa at Autoracer are reporting a turbo redesign and around 30 bhp gain, Vasseur's own words paint a more cautious picture. Vasseur's comments highlight the gap that remains even after these upgrades. When you look at Mercedes and Red Bull, we are talking about a difference of 1 or 2 tenths per lap from the engine.